Welcome to the Mind Spark. Bringing you the latest news from around the world, China has stunned the world by blocking $10 billion worth of US cargo. This unexpected move has sent shockwaves through global trade. The blockade is a direct response to escalating tariffs and disputes over electric vehicles. The scene at Shanghai port is eerily quiet, with ships stranded and cargo left untouched. President Trump, caught off guard, has called for emergency meetings. The halted cargo includes essential goods, from electronics to agricultural products. Stock prices are plummeting and investors are in a state of panic. It threatens the stability of the entire global economy. The trade war between the US and China has been brewing for years. It started with tariffs on steel and aluminum. Then came the disputes over intellectual property and technology transfer. The tension escalated further with the rise of electric vehicles. China's dominance in the EV market has been a sore point for the US. The American government has accused China of unfair trade practices. In response, China has imposed tariffs on US goods. The blockade is the latest and most dramatic escalation in this ongoing conflict. President Trump has been vocal about his dissatisfaction with China's trade policies. Analysts had predicted further tariffs, but not a complete halt in trade. This drastic measure shows the depth of the rift between the two economic giants. The world watches with bated breath as the situation unfolds. The financial markets have been thrown into chaos by the blockade. Stock exchanges around the world are experiencing sharp declines. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has dropped by over 1,000 points. Investors are scrambling to reassess their strategies. The blockade has sparked fears of a global recession. The halt in US China trade is a significant disruption. It threatens supply chains and could lead to shortages of essential goods. Economists are warning of the potential for a prolonged economic downturn. Consumer confidence is also taking a hit as people worry about job security and rising prices. The global economy is on edge, waiting to see what happens next. Shanghai port, one of the world's busiest, has come to a standstill. The usually bustling port is now eerily silent. Ships are anchored offshore, unable to unload their cargo. Containers are stacked high, waiting for clearance that may never come. The blockade has created a logistical nightmare. Shipping companies are struggling to find alternative routes. The delay in cargo movement is causing a backlog that will take weeks, if not months, to clear. The port's inactivity is a stark visual representation of the trade war's impact. The local economy, heavily reliant on the port's operations, is also taking a hit. Strategic chess. Beijing's calculated move. China's blockade of United States cargo is not just a reaction, it's a strategic move. Beijing is sending a clear message to Washington. The blockade showcases China's willingness to use its economic power as a tool in geopolitical conflicts. It's a calculated risk, aimed at forcing the United States to reconsider its trade policies. The decision to block US cargo comes at a time when China is asserting itself on the global stage. The country has been expanding its influence through initiatives like the Belt and Road. Analysts believe that Beijing's move is designed to test the resolve of the US administration. By disrupting trade, China is putting pressure on American businesses and consumers. It's a high-stakes game of economic chess, with both sides waiting to see who will blink first. This move could deter other nations from siding with the United States in the trade war. Veteran insights. Shipping insiders weigh in. Veteran shipping insiders are calling China's blockade a masterstroke. They see it as a strategic move that leverages China's position as a global trade hub. The blockade has caught the United States off guard, highlighting the vulnerabilities in its supply chain. Shipping experts believe that China's move is a calculated risk. By blocking US cargo, China is disrupting the flow of goods and creating uncertainty. This uncertainty can have a ripple effect, causing delays and increasing costs for businesses worldwide. The blockade also showcases China's control over key trade routes. Shipping insiders point out that China's dominance in the shipping industry gives it significant leverage. The long-term impact on global trade relations remains to be seen. Economic impact: U.S. industries in crisis. The blockade is having a devastating impact on key United States industries. The agricultural sector is particularly hard hit. Farmers are unable to export their produce, leading to a surplus and falling prices. The electronics industry is also facing challenges with delays in receiving components from China. The automotive industry is another casualty of the blockade. The disruption in the supply chain is causing delays in production. Car manufacturers are struggling to source the parts they need, leading to potential layoffs and reduced output. Retailers are also feeling the pinch. The delay in receiving goods is leading to empty shelves and frustrated customers. The holiday season, a crucial time for retailers, is approaching. The blockade could lead to significant losses if the situation is not resolved soon. WTO rules: the global trade framework shaken. The blockade has significant implications for the World Trade Organization, or WTO. The WTO's rules are designed to promote free and fair trade. However, the blockade highlights the limitations of these rules in resolving complex trade disputes. China's move is seen as a challenge to the WTO's authority. By blocking U.S. cargo, China is effectively bypassing the established trade dispute resolution mechanisms. This raises questions about the effectiveness of the WTO in managing modern trade conflicts. The blockade could lead to calls for reforming the WTO. Critics argue that the organization needs to adapt to the changing dynamics of global trade. The outcome of this conflict could shape the future of the organization and its role in global trade. Ripple effects, global implications and reactions. The blockade is having ripple effects across the globe. Countries that rely on trade with both the US and China are caught in the crossfire. They are facing disruptions in their supply chains and increased costs. The global nature of trade means that no country is immune to the impact. The European Union is particularly concerned. As a major trading partner of both the US and China, it is facing significant challenges. The blockade is causing delays in receiving goods and increasing uncertainty. European businesses are calling for a swift resolution to the conflict. Developing countries are also feeling the impact. Many rely on exports to the US and China for their economic growth. The blockade is causing delays and increasing costs, putting pressure on their economies. The global community is calling for dialogue and resolution. The need for cooperation and collaboration has never been more apparent. Supply chain shifts: a new global order. The blockade is prompting companies to rethink their supply chains. The disruption has highlighted the risks of relying on a single country for critical components. Businesses are exploring alternative suppliers and diversifying their supply chains. The shift in supply chains could lead to a new global order. Countries that can provide reliable and cost-effective alternatives to China are likely to benefit. This could lead to increased investment in regions like Southeast Asia and Latin America. Building new supply chains takes time and investment. The transition period could lead to temporary disruptions and increased costs. The companies that can adapt to the new global order will be better positioned to navigate future challenges. The U.S. response: future trade relations. The U.S. is not taking the blockade lightly. President Trump has called for emergency meetings to address the situation. The administration is exploring a range of responses, from diplomatic negotiations to economic sanctions. The blockade has highlighted the need for a strategic approach to trade relations. The US is likely to seek alliances with other countries to counter China's influence. The situation is prompting a re-evaluation of trade policies and strategies. The future of U.S.-China trade relations is uncertain. The blockade has created a significant rift between the two countries. The resolution of this conflict will shape the future of global trade. The need for cooperation and collaboration has never been more apparent. The world is watching closely, aware that the stakes are high. The economic fallout from China's blockade is being felt around the world. Global markets are in turmoil, with stock prices plummeting and investor confidence waning. Supply chains are disrupted, leading to shortages of essential goods and skyrocketing prices. Small businesses are hit hardest, struggling to stay afloat amidst the uncertainty. Major corporations are not immune either, with many reporting significant losses. The ripple effects are being felt across various sectors, from manufacturing to technology. Governments are scrambling to implement measures to stabilize their economies. The International Monetary Fund has issued a warning about the potential for a global recession. The blockade has exposed the vulnerabilities of the interconnected global economy. As the world grapples with the immediate impacts, the long-term consequences remain uncertain. The economic fallout is a stark reminder of the delicate balance of global trade. The need for resilient and adaptable economic policies has never been more critical. The world is at a crossroads, facing an economic crisis that could reshape the future of global trade and commerce. The economic fallout from China's blockade has led to profound political ramifications across the globe. In the United States, political leaders are fiercely debating the best course of action, with some advocating for a hardline stance against China, while others call for diplomatic negotiations to ease tensions. The blockade has become a central issue in upcoming elections, with candidates on both sides of the aisle using it to rally support and push their agendas. In Europe, political alliances are being tested as nations grapple with the economic strain and seek to balance their relationships with both the U.S. and China. The European Union is holding emergency meetings to discuss a unified response, but internal divisions make consensus challenging. In Asia, neighboring countries are on high alert, fearing the potential spillover effects of the blockade. Regional powers like Japan and India are strengthening their economic and military ties to counterbalance China's influence. The United Nations has called for an urgent summit to address the escalating crisis, but geopolitical rivalries threaten to stall progress. The blockade has exposed the fragility of international cooperation and the urgent need for a new approach to global governance. As world leaders navigate this complex landscape, the political ramifications of the blockade will shape international relations for years to come. The decisions made in the coming months could redefine the global order and determine the future of diplomacy and trade in the 21st century. As the world grapples with the repercussions of China's $10 billion blockade, global leaders are searching for a path forward. In the United States, policymakers are exploring a mix of diplomatic and economic strategies to mitigate the crisis. Proposals range from imposing new tariffs to initiating high-level talks with Beijing. Across the Atlantic, the European Union is striving to present a united front, aiming to balance economic interests with the need for stability in international relations. In Asia, countries like Japan and India are accelerating their efforts to diversify supply chains and reduce dependency on Chinese imports. The private sector, too, is adapting, with companies investing in alternative markets and innovative technologies to weather the storm. In this challenging landscape, international cooperation is more crucial than ever. The United Nations and other global institutions are working tirelessly to mediate and find common ground. While the road ahead is fraught with uncertainties, there is a collective determination to emerge stronger and more resilient. The lessons learned from this crisis could pave the way for a more balanced and sustainable global trade system, one that prioritizes collaboration and mutual benefit. As we look to the future, the world stands at a crossroads. The decisions made today will shape the economic and political landscape for generations to come. It's a daunting task, but also an opportunity to build a more interconnected and harmonious global community.